Afghans are thronging to Kabul's airport, desperate to get on planes and leave the country at any cost. They're scaling the airport's walls this morning, rushing in. There's no screening, no security checks, just force of numbers. When they do manage to push aboard planes, they're so crowded, pilots won't take off. And no one agrees to disembark. It's all happening just a few hundred yards from the military side of Kabul airport, now separated by a row of barbed wire from the civilian side, in chaos. The military side is where the U.S. is staging an elaborate evacuation of American diplomats from the embassy. But even here, Afghans managed to push through, willing to cling onto an aircraft as it took off, rather than stay in Afghanistan. Afghans say the Americans are only focused on getting U.S. citizens out, along with some interpreters. Although tens of thousands of translators still have no U.S. visas, so they too are left to the Taliban.
Okay, what's going on in Afghanistan is a complete mess. It's a disaster. People are literally handing babies over to the U.S. government, to the army, or whatever the case is, just so their babies don't be killed. People are also hanging on to landing gears to planes to try to flee Afghanistan because the Taliban is coming to take over. They're coming to take their country back that belongs to them, which makes a lot of sense in a way. Not that I'm in support of the Taliban, but it's kind of like they're hardcore religious people over there, and they're conservatives. Basically, they're conserving what they believe in. So they're not allowing us to push our American culture on them and their people. Like, we're not going over there in their mind to push no type of women's rights and women empowerment and feminist this and feminist that and LGBTQ, and they're completely against the gays over there. They're completely against all of this Black Lives Matter stuff that we got going over here, critical race theory. Like, they're not allowing that in our society. So it kind of makes sense. Like, they're not going to allow us to push American culture onto their people, because what's civil to us is not civil to them. So not that I agree with the Taliban, but I kind of understand where they're coming from, where their anger towards America is, because in America, we basically go around the world trying to push American culture on places that don't want it. I mean, think about it. If anything, instead of us completely abandoning Afghanistan, I think that we should have just made it a United States territory like we did. We got over 100 countries where we set up base and set up shop and basically turned them into American land. Like, we should have did either that, we should have kept Afghanistan as part of the United States, or we should have just been let it go a long time ago, or whatever the case is, because the way we left, the way Joe Biden chose to leave is completely ridiculous, and it put a lot of people's lives at risk. Who do you blame for this? You blame the people who voted for Joe Biden, because Trump never thought about doing anything like this. I mean, even Obama thought about doing it, but he realized and was told by his people that is a horrible idea to actually do that. So all the presidents continued to stay in Afghanistan and basically continue to have sanctions on it. As soon as they take the sanctions off, guess what? The Taliban comes out of nowhere. Well, not even out of nowhere, but now they're coming in there to killing people. And I'm sure plenty of Americans are being killed and slaughtered in Afghanistan. The whole COVID-19 package that they tried to put off a couple of years ago. I mean, not a couple of years ago, a couple of months ago, that we basically denied, was about pushing like LGBTQ, and it was supposed to be like money to help the American citizens. And it's like, why do some of this stimulus package is saying that is about transgender rights in Afghanistan and stuff like that, and pushing transgender stuff in other countries? Like, what do the stimulus package have to do with any of that? And that was going on, months back. And it's just like, I understand what's going on in Afghanistan. It's completely wrong, but I do kind of understand where they're coming from. They're not trying to get American culture pushed on them. And that's my view on it. Let me know what you think. Like, share, and subscribe. Peace.